Hey, it's Patrick here again, and today on Philosophy Sundays, what I'd like to talk about is continue our little discussion on solipsism. So, to do a quick little review of what we talked about last week, solipsism is essentially the question of how do I prove that others exist just as I do, meaning how do I prove that other people uh, perceive the world as I do myself. Uh, Later on, we'll also see what the problem with this question is, but at first, I'd like to discuss the importance of this question. Um, with philosophy, there is no such thing as common sense, meaning that to say that I exist and I perceive the world, meaning that must mean that other people are also real living beings and perceive the world as well as an evident fact does not pass in philosophy. Uh, the problem of solipsism, as we discussed last week, I believe can be blamed on Descartes because Descartes was the one that introduced to the Western world the Cartesian cogito, which is the I think, therefore I am, which in the Western world created that link between one's mind and having thoughts, meaning that if one has thoughts, then one exists. This causes the problem of solipsism, or is the root of solipsism, because if I have access to my own thoughts and can therefore prove without a doubt that I exist, how can I prove without a doubt that other people exist if they don't have if I don't have access to their thoughts? This becomes a very egocentric problem, meaning that the problem is almost narcissistic in a sense. There might be a more proper term for it, but to believe that only you exist because you have access to your own thoughts, uh, there's a lot of blockages to certain ideas, such as it's really hard to have empathy for other people if you cannot prove without a doubt that they exist. Uh, I was introduced to an opposing view that kind of gets rid of the problem of solipsism, for me anyway, which was an answer I found through Eastern philosophy and meditation. So, one of the goals of meditation is to be able to clear your mind. This is very difficult for people living in the West because we are almost run by our minds and we don't have the ability, or most people don't have the ability to shut off their thoughts at any given moment. Yet, with Eastern philosophy meditation, uh, one practices trying to turn off one's thoughts. And once I realized that, I was able to just exist without thinking and having my thoughts kind of run on a back burner but not be attached to them. Kind of got rid of Descartes' idea of the I think, therefore I am, since with Eastern philosophy and meditation, I could exist without thinking. This kind of got rid of the problem of solipsism for myself, since I knew that I could exist without thinking, therefore I no longer needed direct access to someone's thoughts for them to exist, thus solving the problem of solipsism for myself. There were always signals, or I kind of always knew the answer to solipsism, or another different answer that I held while I was younger. But when I was in my teens, even with this philosophical problem that I had with solipsism, it all began with my close friends, and we would always ask that we knew that us close friends and our families and the people that we loved were real people because we felt that connection with them. But with strangers, being teens and being in our own little social circle was kind of hard for us to kind of view them as almost real people when we were younger, which sounds really messed up, and I believe it was, which is why I put such an importance on finding a solution to solipsism. Anyway, the way we compared it was kind of like through an online game where there are online players, so you knew that these people who were controlling their avatars in the world were an actual person behind a computer. But in the game, in an online game, there are also what we call NPCs, or non-playable characters. So these are characters that are found within the world, within the gaming world, but are programmed by the creators of the game. Solipsism essentially is you knowing that you are a playable character, but not being able to prove if others are just programmed into the world by some entity or some force running the universe, I guess. But again, there are always kind of hints on the solution. And I remember one day really thinking about the problem solipsism and why was it that the people really close to me, I had no doubt about it, that they were living beings and real human beings that I could connect with and connected with other people, whereas strangers had a harder time almost believing that they were real, I guess. And it was the whole idea of eye contact and really establishing that human-to-human connection. Later on, I was exposed to the idea that through eye contact and the eyes, which are the windows to the soul, that was a huge revelation and a solution of solipsism, because just by looking through someone's eyes for an extended period of time, which I'd always done with the people close to me, family, friends, loved ones, girlfriends at the point, it was always obvious that there was another living, loving soul at the behind those eyes. And now, just by making eye contact with anyone, whether it be a stranger or someone really close to me, I cannot doubt that that other person is a living being just like myself. Maybe not exactly like myself, but still living with the human soul and the human dignity, the human being. So yeah, there's my little recap on the history of one of the first philosophical problems I had to deal with, which was solipsism. I'm very confident that I found a personal answer, but again, with philosophy, it's an endeavor till the end, so hopefully I won't have to revert back to dealing with solipsism, but if I do, I'll find proof to figure it out. And I can't bet on common sense, since with philosophy there's no common sense. There's always a route to our logical answers. So I'll see you again next Sunday, and have a good week. Bye.